Okay, great. Let's go. Right. 𝘭𝘪𝘢𝘵𝘢𝑚𝑎𝑠.
𝘭𝘪𝘢𝑚𝑎𝑠.
Oh, good. We'll just stop. Loose enough. And just sucking down into the feet. And swing from the back. Take it side to side. Good. And into rotation. And into away. And just taking that feeling, move in any direction. Great, hands coming up nicely within. And taking all the way down. Curling up. Just following the breath. And that's one. Closing up. And we start with the feet, just rolling up and ankle. And changing direction. And the other side. Change direction. That's the feet down, take into the sides. And just bring with outside, inside, together. Rolling onto the toes, and sink into the heel. Let the weight spread towards the heel. Press the ball of the foot, the outside edge of the foot, into the ground, and then just think about tapping the toe, big toe, the toes. And then pressing the big toe into the ground. Just think about spreading the little toe away. Think about spreading all the toes, making space between them. I'm just going to fold them in and out, a bit like opening a fan, as much as you can, opening the toes. If you've got shoes on, you're just kind of using the outside edge of the shoe just to expand into. And then just think about spreading the toes into the ground. Again, it's kind of a wider foot as you can. Big, big, big foot. And then just below, just rocking the hips through the feet. Mobilize the knees a little bit, mobilize the hips. Ensure the feet, you can just spread into the ground. And change the direction. And just go down to knees, just keep them a little bit wide. Gently passing circles through. Down and out with the knees. And changing direction. Side to in. And then just gently pressing back to the knees. Pulling the toes up towards the face. Great. And come out a little bit wider, like you're standing in a box with the feet. Just play with. Yeah, it's mobilize left and right. And just hit the hips a little bit lower. You can get them a little bit lower than the knees. Use the hands in the ground, just shuffling the weight. And this one, do side to side. If it feels comfortable, just start to play with a little bit of a figure of 8 through the hips. So really track through the hips. Pass it to the other. And then just reverse the track if you're doing it. Great. Pressing the hands into the ground, just let the legs come a little bit wider, just until the legs kind of strengthen out. Settle the weight a little bit to the feet. And just reaching towards the ankles, both hands. And then just taking one ankle with one hand, lengthening down, keeping the back long. Think about just gently drawing the head towards the ground. And then walking the hands out. Just create a little bit of length in the spine, shoulders. Start to draw the hips back. And then just coming forward into the hands. Take the legs back together and straightening out with the legs. Lengthening through both legs. Walking the hands back to the feet. And just taking to a forward fold. Releasing the head and the neck. And nice and easy coming to standing. Great. And just taking the left shoulder width. We'll just go into the arms. So like we do the swing, but just really focusing on mobilizing the shoulder. And especially in this one, this direction coming back as well. So really allow the shoulder to open up to the back. A little bit of a drop with the body, but not to the extent of fully swinging down. And taking that to the side. Just have a kind of gentle shoulder tap. And let them come out. And then this one, you're just going to let the basically find the shoulders. See if you can find like front and back shoulder. So the joints are looser, especially the back arm. Just let the spine a little bit tilting towards the side, rotating to the side, not tilting. Yeah, and just releasing the arms. Let them drop down. And just play with this motion, which is just opening the shoulder, the elbow, the hands. Rolling that way. Basically closing open the shoulder. Same thing with the hip. So you're just kind of opening the hip up, let the foot follow. Side. Straight that a little bit. Another one. Okay. We're just going to we'll do 3 foundation poses. The first one's really symmetrical. It's the one we do all the time, which is basically the founder. So just find a slightly wider than shoulder width posture. Think about the outside edge just kind of pressing into a. If you feel like you're kind of in a container, think about the outside edge kind of pressing in. Okay. Step into it. Go into it just about 10 from the hip. Just think about the hip dropping back, hands reaching forward, and just have the feeling. So in the sense that you're just floating the arms out. So not too much tension as you go into it. Just a little bit of tensioning at the end of the movement. So squeeze the fingertips together. Hips go back. Feel the kind of just natural tension going down the legs. Just coming from the movement, not from a kind of created tension, especially in the upper body. So just about 10, just to get into the movement. Good. Keeping the spine long, chin tucked back gently. Chest nice and big. Great. And then the next thing, just really focus on the breath as you do it. So if you go, as you reach out, think about a nice deep breath in. You're trying to open the space here between the ribs and the hips. And then as you come back, nice deep breath back out. And the breath out, think about really keeping the length through the abdomen. So think about reaching out, breathing in big. And then breathing out. Nice and full as you come back. So again, about 10, nice and full. Back. So hips chop back, hands reach forward. Great. And then the next one, just hold that position. Find it. And just take a couple of long, deep breaths in this position. So hold it about 30 seconds or so. Really squeeze the fingertips. If you feel the back, lower back especially starts to shake or twitch or burn, just think about the anchoring in the legs. Deep breath in. You can think about either spreading the ground away from you or kind of pulling it together. One of them will probably feel that it's going to really strongly anchor in the ground. Deep breaths. Squeezing. And just be aware in this case of the fingertips and feel that all of them are really squeezing in evenly. Especially press for weapon with the little finger, the ring finger. And feel that they're strongly connected together. Good. And then just from that position, just float the spear just above the forehead. So not too high, just floating off the head to the forehead. Couple of deep breaths here. Again, think about creating length through the rib cage, those hips. Maintaining as you breathe out as long as you can. Next out breath, let the hands come down, fold the body forward, keep the hips back, lengthen down, and just in this case, let the upper spine release. So you're losing the length in the top of the spine. Take a couple of deep breaths. Walk the hands forward a little bit more, pull the hips back a little bit more. Take a couple of deep breaths. Okay, and then we're just going to the second position straight into it. You're just going to spear the fingertips into the ground. So this is basically working with a symmetrical position with the feet and going asymmetrical. So tracing the arm up into a windmill, reaching up, pulling down. Again, just do a few on each side, just to get into the motion. Feel the legs nice and stable. The key thing with this one is the asymmetry in the hip. One hip's going to pull a little bit more than the other to bring the hand up, and it's going to be the opposite hip basically. So the opposite hip, so the hand's really going to mobilize, open up as you reach the hand up. And each time as you do it, just the legs have to settle into the ground, spear the fingertips into the ground, settle into the feet again, and then initiate again. So you're looking for a symmetrical position to begin. And then from that, taking it to an asymmetrical. And again, nice big breaths as you do it. Great. And then just spearing the hands back into the ground. Pull the hands to the shin bone, really press in quite strongly. Think about lengthening the shoulders, pulling the neck long, tight, a little bit tucking the shin back. And then think about the weight in the feet, and you're going to think about just pulling the chest away from the ground, away from the ground, away from the ground. And you just come up to neutral, shake everything out, so especially the lower back. Shoulders if they're on fire. Okay, great. And we'll just do one more position, which is really an asymmetrical position from the beginning. So you're in a lunge position. So not too wide with this one. You want the back heel off the ground. Front foot is really stable, so you've got all those 3 points of contact in the front foot, 2 points in the back. Just below here, just first lengthening it up, and then just passing the weight into the front leg. And so you're just taking about 60–70% of the weight and just passing it forward. Think about kind of a direct line through the body. It's just going to use that feeling of just being able to pass the weight fully into one foot later. And about 10, and then hold that position. Think about just adding a rotation to it now. So you're keeping the weight in this position here, and then you're just letting the back hip to mobilize. It's going to start to kind of point towards the front heel, so the back toes pointing towards the front heel. And again, just allow the torso just to receive the movement of the hip. And the key with this, just watch the knee. You don't want the knee to start to rotate with it. Allow the knee just to track towards the toes all the time. And then we'll just look at it a little bit more dynamically. So you're going to just swing through, reach out, and find a little bit of a rotation through it. So swing the arm through, rotate and reach out. So letting the weight pass forward into the foot, and then adding in that rotation, and then pulling back. Think of kind of as much tensioning in and out as the movement as you go into it. Pulling the body back in. So you're using all the weight in that leg to roll you back, rather than kind of falling back or collapsing. And just about 10. Reaching out, coming back. Great. Perfect. Good. And then the last one, reach out, hold it, bring the other hand in, squeeze the fingertips together like we did before. And then from there, the key with this one, you're going to maintain the weight in the front foot as you reach up. So the body's going to start to pull to vertical, but you're not going to let the weight sink into the back foot. So keep the weight there, and then just start to reach up, spiral. And try and feel now really a line between the fingertips and the back heel. Okay? And as you do it, As you do the breath now, think about reaching the hands up a little bit more. And as you breathe out, think about sinking the hips, sinking the back foot towards the ground. But breathe in, reach up a little bit. Breathe out, settle down a little bit with the hip. And on the next out breath, just pull the body back to center. Drop the arms back. Yet switch the leg over. And we do the same setup. Just fix into that front foot, really strongly contact. Two points of contact in the back. And then you're just thinking again about just hinging the body forward, hinging the weight into the leg, and just allowing the leg, the knee, the hip to receive it. Receive the weight, pull back, receive the weight, pull back, pull back. And about 10, go into the front and then just start to play with the rotation through. So that foot now is really heavy and you're going to let the back hip, back foot just to point towards the front heel. Let the whole torso, head, spine, everything receive that rotation. Well, they need to be really strong, foot's really strong in the ground. And then going into it more dynamically, so swinging the arm through, reaching out and into a spiral. Reaching out into a spiral. So you're passing through the center line with the hip and then extending out through the center line. Reaching out. Great. The front foot's very stable, back leg's very mobile. Nice combination. And then last one, reach out, hold it, bring the other hand in, squeeze the fingertips together. Take a deep breath here. And then keeping the weight now in that front leg, start to raise up, raise up, raise up. And just as much as I can keep the weight in the front leg, reach up. So it just means coming up to the height of the heart or the head. But the key thing is keeping that weight in, keeping the tension in. And again, a couple of deep breaths. Think about reaching the fingertips a little bit further up. Pulling the back leg down towards the ground a little bit more. Not with the aim to touch the heel to the ground, but just to open up that line. More deep breaths. And the next out breath, just gently pull back to center. Bring the legs back together. We'll just do one more. Don't go all the way to the ground with this, but it's a kind of coordination exercise in a sense. And this would later kind of go to the ground with the knee, but just play this, the same leg and the same foot, basically going to reach out, come here, and then you're basically going to pull back. You reach out, and then pull back. You could take this, it's often you feel really comfortable, you can take it right to the ground, and pull the body up, but just put it just as really as a coordinating sides exercise. And again, same kind of tension in and out, think about reaching out, and then think as if you're kind of grabbing a rope and you're pulling the body back up. Pulling the body back up. But the key one with this is in the two sides of the body. Working together. Working together. Keeping the length of the spine all the time. No, that's great. And then the last few, just do them nice and slow. So if you think about kind of, in this case, kind of picking the leg up, reaching the hand out, take it as far as kind of comfortable, and then again, kind of slowly pull yourself back. So really also a nice one in terms of balance. Pull back, and then the same speed, in and out the position. As slow as you can keep everything in motion, as you can stay balanced. Nice, nice. Great. Okay, good. And then shake everything out. Just shake wherever you feel tension. And the key thing you have to always find is trying to release everything. So what I don't want to do is carry any of that kind of tension with the body into the next part. Just release anything out. Good. Okay, so we'll do some knife work. So grab a tanto or spatula or whatever you've got at hand. So there's lots of ways to work with knife. We'll just work with 3 today, and they're kind of 3 basic ones in a sense. Kind of follow the same kind of ideas. So if you think about symmetrical action, if you think about being symmetrical and using asymmetry, and then being really asymmetrical with the body. So we'll work with the first one, which is the easiest one, which is just shoulder width apart with the feet. The knife in this case is going to be blade side up, just at the side of the body. And just think about this. With this one, just place the hand at the hip. And think about this, you're going to initiate the hip out, and then the hand's going to follow it, and then pull it back. So the hip's going to fire, and then the knife's going to come after it. Okay, so the knife's right at the side of the leg, and then you're drawing out, and then you're drawing it back. Drawing it out, and then drawing it back. Drawing it out, and drawing back. Out, and drawing back. In this case, just mixing both sides freely. You can switch whenever you feel like, just. That's it. Let's see. So actually, this is in a sense a very classic ski. So if you think about Joe work, whenever we do Joe work, the ski that I'm looking for is not this one. Basically, to do something like this. The ski that I'm generally looking for is this where you've got this arc, kind of rising arc. So if you think about this ski with the Joe, this one, it's actually a very similar motion with the tanto. So the movement in it is not really to do this kind of push up. You could do that, it's totally possible with the blade, but think about this motion, which is basically like a rising arc here. Yeah, and there is an inflection point in it, but it's not in the sense that the elbow is going to, in this case, do something like this. You're basically just going to let it, in this case, swing up. And the idea is that actually the target is anywhere from here to here, and that you're using really the tip of the blade to basically slice all the way up. The idea with this exercise later is also that you can continue the strike basically straight up. So rather than doing something like this and then this, what you're doing is actually just one motion, basically straight up. This stab and basically come straight in. So the arc that you're using is basically this one, that kind of arc. And again, it's just the extent that I can allow the shoulder, and the elbow, and the hand to just find that arc from the hip, basically. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, good. And then the other thing with this, especially where I use a lot like symmetrical positions, notice in this case, if I'm in this position, notice one thing that happens, which is something like this, where the shoulder starts to pull forward and I start to pull out of the base. This just creates all this excess tension in the body. So play with, like, if I go like really something like that, then I feel all this tension in the body. And the body's only got 2 options. It can fall over or it can hold itself up. Yeah, and neither of those are useful in terms of martial arts. So when you do this, think about really just falling into the 2 feet. So yeah, do the action in a sense slow enough that I can really feel nothing really disturbs the center line of the body. So that really will pull the body out. Also, something like that will pull the body back. And you want the one which is just actually just sitting into the feet in this case. So again, having the feet square on shoulder width, such a really good position just to get a very, very, very neutral, calm action with the body. A little bit like when we do 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝘦 with the ken. Okay, so now we'll go to the asymmetrical one, but it's from a symmetrical position. So find this position, and the start's going to be kind of symmetrical in terms of using the center line. You're going to raise up to the center line of the head. Feel like you're kind of cutting a parting with a little bit of space, and then think about the asymmetrical part, which is the hip. It's really going to do something like this. It's going to come down this way. So find the top, here at the top, and then think about arcing the body away. So the main thing now is actually just finding the center line. So you can do this in a few ways. You can start at the back. The blade's now facing away in this position. You're doing a kind of classic slice. Find the top, and then just think about initiating the hip into the slice. Yeah, and then you can either go straight back up to the head or pull back to neutral. It's nice every so often to pull back to neutral where the blade's just hidden at the side of the body, because again, it's just going to give you a really clear baseline for where the body is. And I want to feel again the knife's not really disturbing that sense of the center line as you go into the movement. Yeah, that's it. Again, there's a big risk of, in this asymmetrical movement, the shoulder pulling forward, the hip getting twisted, the spine going out stretcher. So just notice it, listen to it, and the feeling you need to find is really like a spiral in this case. So it's where we start to really work with spiral lines. In this case, this spiral is basically dropping into the feet. The feet are still even. But there's really a sense of dropping that spiral into the feet there. So, and again, feel free to change sides, mix them up a little bit. There we go. Great. Okay, now look for this space in one motion. So if you think about doing a 𝘭𝘠𝘦𝘢𝘵 with a bokken, number 5, but really pay attention to this now. The real danger of this is I go into a fluid motion. Something like this happens. The arm starts to kind of spin around the head and orbit the head. It's all wasted motion in a sense. So think about just coming up and slicing down. You come through. But yeah, finding the center line now is really the critical part. But as you do that, the hip just initiates it and then come back. It just initiates. Play with the free hand also. You can put it on the hip, you can put it on the center, you can put it on the shoulder. You can just have it kind of hanging around as long as it doesn't get hit. But just play now with the sense of one motion. So it's there at the side of the leg, raise up, cut down, and come back. Raise up, cut down. Again, really trying to avoid the sense of orbiting the head now. So it's diagonal on the way down. And we're really going to look for the center line and then adjust it. That's it. Nice. That's it. Yeah, again, this is a nice, if you think about 2 V's across the body, so it would be like cutting this line and then come back to the center line and then cut the other way back. Okay, so you're basically cutting like a dum, dum, and they're both coming from the center of the head again. So at the center of the head's the point. And then if you think about like a inverted V coming down, drawing up, cutting down this one, and then coming back up, cutting down this one. And then just play with this. First get the feeling that you just allow the arm to swing up, drop it in. Swing up, drop it in. Swing up, drop it in. So there's a little bit of circularity with the tip of the tanto, into the tanto, but it starts by finding the vertical and then shape it. Yeah, really good. And there's nothing in a sense with circular movements, in a sense of like doing this, but in this sense, to find a really baseline for the movement. It really helps to find the center line and then initiate it. But the key is always, in a sense, whatever change you're making with the sword, with the tanto, whatever, is from the hip. So directing from the hip all the time. And it just makes it very hard. It makes it very difficult, in a sense, if I'm doing circular movements like this for the hip to stay. Not impossible, but it's a little bit more difficult. Very good. Great. So we'll do the last one. This time you're going to take the classic psycho killer stabbing position down. So the blade's forward, tips down. So this one's the really asymmetrical one. So again, play with shoulder width. The tip of the knife is going to be towards the forearm. And then think about, in this case, just a slash out this way. Yeah, and then just pulling back. So you get super asymmetrical. It's coming right across the body this way. So you're passing through the center line. In this case, not really finding the center line, you're just passing through it. So blades at the side of the body, and then just think again about hip initiates, shoulder follows, and then you've got this motion out. And then the inflection is basically at that point as the blade reveals and then slices forward. And again, just play with your free hand, place it on the shoulder. Shoulder's a really good one for this one, just to really feel what's happening in the shoulder, especially in that last position. I want to feel that the shoulder's actually still quite loose and not comfortable. But again, you can play with the center, you can play with the hip, you can play with the shoulder. Also a nice one for the position of the other hand is just at the back of the spine. So if you think about the lower back, and this is a really good one for feeling something like this happen, and especially tension in the lower spine. So I want to feel like that, and the lower spine's actually able to just again release. So these points, the hip, the shoulder, the center, I want to feel that there's a kind of a release through them, and I don't want to feel that there's a tension in that area, basically. Sarina, we're doing knife work. That's it, nice, good. Nice, very nice. Very nice. Super, super great. Yeah, good. And then we'll just have one more movement to it. You're going to slash it up across, and then from this position, you're going to extend out in this way. So again, it's a really asymmetrical movement for the body. It's really in a similar vein to like a 𝘨𝑰𝘠𝘠𝑦, where the body's the danger with this move is the body's kind of splitting in a sense. So you're doing like this motion, and the danger is that you start to kind of one side becomes more important than the other. So the real danger with this one now is you slash across and reach out as the body gets pulled forward with it. So there needs to be an action of the body, which is like an opening here and coming out. But I need to feel that the body's basically again spiraling into the ground. But a very difficult one to do, and this is very easy to become really too much in the front, basically. So just play this. We're going to slice across, reach out, and there's really one motion in this case. So basically a slash and a thrust back out. That's We're going to do one really odd exercise. You're going to basically take your own wrist, and you're going to do really kind of nothing with this arm. So I'm going to use this arm to draw the knife up and then press it away. Okay, but what I'm going to basically look for is the shoulder to be as relaxed as possible. So I want to feel I'm kind of carrying my own arm, and then use this arm to kind of pull the body up and there. Now notice what kind of needs to happen in the sense of this shoulder and this connection into this foot as I do that. So I can't really, this is a great exercise, but I can't really be frontal with this exercise. I'll basically pull myself out of the ground. So I'm really in this exercise looking for balance across the body. And I'm using the fact that the other hand is leading, the other side of the body is leading to really look for a little bit more of a balanced position in this case. Yeah. And kind of giving the motion of the active arm to the other side. That's it. And then don't do the leading part, but just feel it again that the hands are kind of connecting. So as you do this motion, what I never want to feel is like one hand's dead and the other's kind of doing everything. So feel that you're in the ground and feel that everything's active. Everything's active, and then you find this. Yeah, and you can play with the position of this hand. Depending on where it is, it can be of different uses. But the key thing is really just the first thing is that it's really moving together. So this is especially true with all these asymmetrical positions because the tendency is one side just totally dominates. Very nice. Good. Okay, and then we'll just play with these three. So we'll start shoulder width again, this way. Start with this one, so the thrust, the blade's down. You're going to find the arc here, and then you're going to continue it all the way up. As you reach up, switch the blade, point it up, find the center line, slash down, and this is a difficult transition. You're going to roll across, and as you do it, you're going to switch the blade over, and then you find the slice, and then you find the thrust out. And then you've got two choices. You can come back, pull back to the same hand, or you can switch hand. You can switch hand at this point. Yeah, so mix in both sides if you want, but you basically got to thrust out, raise up transition, slash, change transition, slash to the throat, and then it's thrust out. So those three just basically transition together. Very good. Serena, yeah?
Transition from the after the slice to the back to your side.
Yeah. So it's you've got this position. Now as I draw across, it's this opening, this, and then as I do it, this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you've got that, and then this basically switches.
Okay.
With all the transitions, I want basically as I reach the point of the where I make the strike, I want the transition to in place, and then I can initiate. Just as I go across, I want to feel that the dunk, it's in place, and then I can initiate that way. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to kind of do a mishmash trend, like I'm slicing, then I move, and I'm in position, and then I do the switch. So yeah, I basically I want the transition to be as the body done, and then I'm ready to go into the next one, basically. Yeah, so. That's it. Yeah, good. So you can play this in a few ways. The one way is just then start to moving with that pattern. The other way is really start to make this fluid. So drill this one a little bit. Don't do the full set, or do the full set if you really feel totally connected with it. But what I'm going to play with is just like the thrust out, and then this one. Yeah, and then from here, just transitioning back. So it's this to this to this, and then back. This out, change back, and then pull back. Yes, what I'm looking for is really now a really smooth transition. Back in. Yeah, so it's the thrust continues, change, pull, and then back. Yeah, something like that. You're going to notice all this activities happen in the body. What I don't want the hips to become unstable again. So I'm really all the time trying to consciously do two things. Work with the hand, work with the knife, but importantly, find the ground all the time. Trying to balance the structure on the 2 feet. But all this activity now starting to pull everything out. So slow is best with this, basically. Slow, but still with a kind of intention behind it, with the movements. So the thrust is the slash. That's it. Good. And then play with the second half of the movement, which is the transition from this slice into this movement. Yeah, and you can make the full ski. You can just play with the transition basically, which is this changing into this. Yeah, so this changing into this. And you can finish with the last thrust if you like. But that key transition now is that again, the change from the slice, change the hip, and you're straight away into the slash out. Yeah. So again, really nice one for the hip. That's nice. Yo. And it's just a case of bringing it all together. So you've got the thrust, change. So again, it's constantly trying to keep everything stable, but really in this one about mobility. So the ability to basically mobilize the tip of the weapon from the knife. And as soon as I'm kind of losing that, I start to go shoulder, pull back, go a little bit slow. And only for the knife really just freely able to move around the body. And too much shoulder, full stop, take it slow. And again, it's just as you're doing all this activity, just pulling back to that really basic connection work, which is like being in the ground, mobilizing the hip, and then letting that transfer into the arm, into the hand, into the knife. And in the place of the slowest, or let's say the fastest, I can keep that connection work. I want to go a little bit smoother. If I can go really smooth, I can go a little bit faster. Very good. So there's tons of then leg work you can do. The other thing with that is then changing the side, doing the whole set on the other side, then basically working in motion. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with this, obviously, in terms of leg work. We'll just look at one, so it's just using the first and the second, which is going to be the front, the knives in the backhand with the back leg. It's just, in this case, just stepping in with the thrust. And then as you find this transition before, what I want to do is change the side and then find the slice to the back. So nice one just to open up the angles. Think about stepping in with the thrust, continue the transition, and then you're into the slice. But yeah, really nice one in terms of feeling where the center line is in the body, adding the rotation in. So you thrust out, and then you transition, find the center line, and then initiate. But again, pulling back all this time as you've got more activity now with legs and all this stuff. Pulling back to the ground. So hip initiating the movement, hand follows. Very basic stuff, but very easy to lose. Okay, then we'll add in the last one. So this guy's not done yet. So you go, boom, you've done that, you've changed, you've done this, and then this guy's still active. So you change around and you come back. Yeah, and then maybe that one as well at the end. So just play with the third one, basically adding in. So you do one to the front, change, two to the back, change, three back to the front. And then, yeah, so just a nice one to finish. So one to the front, two to the back, one to the front. Well, you could do lots of combinations with this, so we'll play with them a little bit. During the week, last few days, or last day tomorrow. Very good. Nice. Well, that doesn't mess with. Again, just 30 seconds, just go back into a neutral position. Yeah, just as a loosen exercise, just play with the knife, with the body, and just play with transitioning. So you've got two things you can do. You can transition in the hand, or you can switch the hand to do it. But just think in terms of releasing again, come into a really neutral position. Feel all the joints are free. Come back to the shoulder a little bit. You can pass the knife around the back, wherever you like. Just be aware of it as a blade, but just dropping back into the feet, dropping back into that neutral position. And again, not letting all this activity in the arms disturb the rest of the body. And the other exercise you can play with this, if you've got a belt or something, you could play with putting it actually in the belt, but that's another exercise to play with. Super. Very good. Great. Okay, we'll continue that a little bit more tomorrow. So about like death. Right. どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。